Computer. Good morning. Welcome to MIO Monday. Today is October 27th. Happy fall, y'all. Who else is excited for the cool weather? Yeah, Peggy's excited. I'm excited. There's Wendy Sue. We saw Miranda's face already this morning. Very, very exciting. Let me drop this chat in here and update this for you ladies. Okay, so I am very excited to. Okay, chat's open. I am very excited to jump into today. We have a guest coach with us, Mr. Aaron Welch. Mr. Aaron Welch, thank you. Yay.
Easy, easy.
He is off work this week, celebrating my birthday all week long. And I asked him to join us today to give us a male's perspective on what we're going to talk about. And so, if you remember, we are in week number 5 of this training. What happens when women say yes to God? And so we have talked about a couple different things, including when women say yes to God, the resistance that we face sometimes comes with a fight, but we have to exchange and surrender our fear. We also talked about a couple other components of like really saying yes to what God wants us to say yes to, how he wants us to show up in the world. And part of that is surrender. So today, we're going to talk about the secret place, and what that means when we say yes to God and meet him in the secret place, and why this is so important. Why this is so important. So, before we kick off, can anybody tell me what the secret place is to you? What is the secret place when we refer to where we meet God?
For me, it's that one-on-one time. And I can tell when I don't get enough of it because I get agitated and my mental clarity isn't as good as what it normally would be.
Ooh, I love that recognition, Peggy. Love that recognition. Great. Anybody else?
The secret place
Yeah.
is my mind because no one else knows what is happening in my mind, but the God of the universe does. And there are no secrets to him, which actually ties into what you said, Peggy. Because when I'm talking to the Lord in the secret place and he's talking to me, then I'm taking my thoughts captive, which is so much better for me in my day.
Yes, I love that recognition, Wendy Sue. Yep. It is so much better, right? Everything is better when we are taking our thoughts captive. That is the truth. That is the truth. Anybody else?
I would agree with Peggy. Same thing. Like I know when I need to spend more time with the Lord, because of how I react to things. And only because, I spend time with the Lord in the morning doesn't mean my day's gonna be amazing, but I will be quicker to come back to the Lord whenever things don't go how I think they should go.
I love that point, Mika. I love that when I decide to meet God in the secret place, I am a quicker to come back to him. When the ways of the world are chasing me, I'm quicker to come back to him. It's like coming back to home base, right? Or in this space where we can find comfort and healing. It's like a haven. I love it. I love it. Okay. Well, you're right. God has a secret place for us, and that is with him. And the beautiful thing about this divine secret place is that it's not a specific place in our world or on the earth. And the goodness of that is that we can meet God in a secret place anytime, no matter where we are, no matter what we're going through. And there's a trade-off. The trade-off tells us on one side, we have the world, we have worries, things that are unfair. You could put pain in this category, maybe temporary pleasure, or what we might experience as emptiness, right? Because the things of this world really continue to cause us to be empty. However, in the secret place, God gives us an opportunity to trade all of this for God's reassuring voice. So God gives us reassurance. And in the secret place, God is in control, so we don't have to be. In the secret place, we can trade up our pain or our worries, and we can get a new filter. God gives us a new filter to put over our eyes and over our ears, over our heart, to interpret the world in a different way. We can trade our pain for peace and joy. When we trade out the things of this world and we come into the secret place with God in this quiet stillness, we experience an overflowing of abundance. And the last thing that I want to mention, which is my favorite, and sometimes it's the most challenging thing for me to really understand and take hold of, is that we are then lavished in love. God lavishes us with love. And sometimes when we think about love, it comes like breadcrumbs. It comes like the least of things. But our Father, our Heavenly Father, the God of the universe, the King of Kings, wants to lavish us. And we're dripping. I want to imagine dripping in diamonds and gold. He's lavishing us with his amazing love. Is that challenging to kind of take in for anybody else besides me? That's a really hard concept for me. I can see that I've lived a lot of my life almost begging for breadcrumbs from people. Yeah. And so God wants to introduce us to a whole new way of living. And the way we do this and the place we start is in the secret place. It's in the quietness, in the stillness. And he trades what the world offers us and gives us the goodness of who he is and what he has. John 15:4 says, "Remain in me as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me." And when we think about fruit, I want to remind you the fruits of the Spirit, who knows what they are? Can anybody like shout them out? You can pop off mute. What are the fruits of the Spirit, or drop them in the chat? Peggy's looking at something. She must have them on her wall right there or something.
I do.
Love,
right behind me. Galatians 5.
There you go.
Love, long suffering, gentleness, kindness, faithfulness.
Yep. Joy.
Thank you.
Peace.
And peace.
Patience. Yep. Gentleness,
Yep.
self-control. Yeah. Those are the fruits of the Spirit. And it occurred to me while I was studying, I wrote down here, oh, how I want these to be the character of my heart and the legacy of my life. Oh, like this is what I want to consume my heart, right? This is the steadfast consuming of like how I show up, and then the legacy of my life. is that people notice this about or say these things about me. But one thing that I kept thinking about, and this reminds me of what you said earlier, Mika, I kept thinking about how I had just bought bananas. And sometimes bananas, we can get them and they're kind of green and they don't taste great. And so we let them sit on the counter or they hang on the banana hanger and they get less green, more yellow, right? Less green, more yellow. But if we let them sit longer and longer, they get less yellow and more brown because fruit spoils, right? Fruit spoils quickly. And so we must pick a new piece from the vine. And if Jesus is the vine, God is the vine, and it's the secret place where we get to get more fruit, right? Like Mika said, we have to keep coming back. We have to keep coming back to pick more fruit. We have to keep coming back to the secret place so that we can be connected to the vine, right? Because unlike a cement block, we don't pick a cement block once and then never have to adjust it or get a new one again, right? God chose fruit on purpose. He knew what fruit would do when you let it sit on the counter for a couple days, right? If you have joy or peace or self-control, do you have it forever once you get it? No, right? We have to tag back in. We have to connect back in to the goodness of the Father to maintain the level of joy or maintain the level of kindness, maybe for someone who's not very nice to us. It's not an automatic human thing like it would be if we were lugging around a cement brick. It would never change, right? I always have my cement brick and it's never changing, but that's not fruit. Fruit spoils. And I would like to just notice as well that fruit doesn't get necessarily better and better and better, right? It spoils to the point where we can't eat it. We can't consume it. There's now bugs flying around it. And so we have to get rid of it right, get a new piece. And so just think about how we have to be in this space with God. Now, the key to being in the secret place, the key to being in this space with God is, ladies, my favorite, obedience. Obedience. John 15:10 says, if you keep my commands, you will remain in my love. Now, I wanted to bring Aaron on today and just have a conversation with him from a male's perspective and from a husband's perspective, because I think sometimes we can know that these things are important. We can, in our logical, know we should do them, know we'll be better. It will benefit me. It is beneficial to my marriage or my partnership if I do these things. But we also deal with doubt. We also deal with, well, if I'm doing this each day, am I being selfish? If I do this every day, am I excluding my husband? Does he feel kind of some weird way about this? And the world can tell us a lot of things, and the enemy can sneak into different parts of our heart. But what I want to ask Aaron about today is his viewpoint of this, and just from a male's perspective, what this means or what it could look like in your relationship. So, Mr. Welch, welcome to the Sisterhood.
That doesn't even sound right.
You only have access for a little bit, so don't get used to it.
Then I'm booted.
Yeah.
And I'm canceled.
Yeah. Yeah. So from your perspective as a man, as a husband, tell us a little bit about what God is dropping in your spirit regarding going to the secret place.
Well, first for me, it's quiet time, what I spend in the morning because nobody's up. It's just me. I got time, So it's not necessarily a secret. I'm sitting on the corner of the couch, but it's my time to be alone and just get into God and what he's got today before I do things like look at emails or check out my phone or look at Instagram reels, right? Starting to change the mindset from where you're starting your day, preparing for the day. Something else that came to mind, uh, or we spoke of earlier actually, was I think women tend to do a better job of finding those pockets in the day of reaching out to the Lord. You know, even if it's that mini second when you're jumping out of your car to run in the store, you stop for that quick second and just say, Dear Lord, hopefully the lines are small and I can get through the store fast, right?
Yeah.
And I think more men tend to forget about that, right? We're just focused on the task and letting everything in the world come into our mind rather than just that split second, that secret. I like how Wendy put it. Hey, it's in my mind, right? Nobody else can see that. It's me and the Lord there, and that's it. But if you can fuel that throughout the day, just like when you're eating, right? You got to have something to eat. If you're fueling that with God multiple times a day, it can keep you uh, level, I guess is the word I'm looking
Yeah.
for.
Level's a good one.
Steady, maybe.
So good. So good. If someone had a spouse who wasn't taking this time, or maybe didn't know how to be in the secret place with God, is there something that you could recommend for women to do, or a way to bring that up or talk about it?
Well, one thing that works for me is you often prompt to pray. That's not exactly secret and quiet, but at least it's moving you in that moment, right? I'm leaving for work. You'll stop me and say, Can we pray quick? You know, which of course I'm ready to leave, but what's 30 seconds? It doesn't take it doesn't take an hour to pray, right?
Right.
Depends on who you're married to.
I'm sure you can turn it into something.
That is a classic moment, just to understand when our husbands are able to receive things and how much they're able to receive in any given moment when their brain is focused in on something else and we're asking them to do something else or have an expectation of praying for 15 minutes when he's heading out the door. So,
Yeah, no, it's totally true. And I think as men, we're totally focused on
yeah.
that next step, right? That next thing we got to do. I don't have time to stop for whatever that may be, even prayer half the time, right? Got to go, got to take care of that task. It's time for me to leave. But
Is there a tip on navigating that, just that you have for women?
maybe just asking, hey, do you have the capacity to take this on now? Or if you're asking for like a prayer, hey, can we take 30 seconds? Right? Kind of defining that we're not going to turn this into a 15-minute, 50-minute, whatever, whole worship festival, right? But I would like to take a couple minutes and connect with you and God or, a couple seconds, right? We know you can pray for simple things pretty quickly or start earlier, but that's hard. That's hard to do. I know for us, we're always running around, she's going one way, I'm going the other, and we're trying to get to where we need to go. It's pretty hard to start earlier, right? If we're on the way to the gym at 5:07 in the morning, how much earlier can you start? Right. I see Vicky shaking her head. But yeah, setting timelines, making it quick, and then being true to that, right? If I say it's going to be a 30-second, let's just, connect, hold hands, say a prayer, and then I'll send you on your way, that we follow that. And that brings about your connection, his connection, and then creates more safety between the two of you, you know? You're a woman of your word, and I'm a man that can trust your word.
Mm, so good. So good. Yeah. And ladies, I just want to remind you that God gives us some very clear instruction in the Bible on how to influence our husbands, which does not include nagging them or asking them to do something 18 times. It actually includes going first, especially when it's something like this. God tells us to move and be an example and do the right thing and be gracious and be a helper. And so sometimes we need to deal with maybe the spoiled fruit in our life so that we have and can not only take on the fruit of the Spirit from the Lord and kind of like let the Holy Spirit activate that in us, but then pour that out onto our husbands and allow that, supernatural grace to be given with Him the way we would give it to other people. Yeah. Aaron, do you notice a difference when you're seeing me be and prioritize that secret place with God?
Yeah, for sure. You know, knowing that it's okay to do that. And I think it's also influential, right? Like, oh, you're doing this thing. I should probably be doing that too, or you're able to take, 10 or 15 minutes or whatever you take, half hour, to do that. I should figure out how to create my own time.
Mm.
And it's easy to excuse, right? Like, well, I got to jump in the car and drive to work. You get to work from your home office. You got more time, but you can create time for what you want to do.
Oh, sorry, say that again.
I said you can always create time for what you want to do.
Yeah, for sure. What are the differences you notice in me in the way I show up, maybe in the world, or I show up for us when I am doing this and connecting in and when I'm not?
Straight up energy levels. When you're attacking the day from a place of, where you've connected with God in first, and fortified yourself to I'll say protect yourself against what the world's coming at you with, what's happening in that day is now second to what you've done to prepare yourself for that.
Mm.
So then by the time I get home, you've still got more energy. You've still got positive attitudes. I ask how your appointments were that day. You're like, they were amazing. It was great. We worked on this and so many breakthroughs and everybody cried. It was awesome. So, but all the events that you've taken on that day seem like bigger and brighter and better and, more growth focused rather than task focused.
So good. So good. I think sometimes I don't even notice if I'm not in the practice. It's so easy to step away from that and then not notice the draining, right? The draining of me or my energy or that, connection point with God. But it is really, really important to do every day. Ladies, the secret place practice, is that something that you do every day? If it is, just give a thumbs up. If not, give a thumbs down. I would say I'm like this, I'm like halfsies. Like sometimes I'm really great at the practice of it. And then other times I'm like, it's been 2 weeks and I haven't had a morning with God in the quiet. Like I talk to Him every day and He is definitely a priority. But to be in that secret place is different than racing around praying all day. Right? Right? Yeah. Does anybody have a question for Aaron? Or is there any part of this conversation or something that you would want to know his opinion on, please feel free to jump off mute and just ask or drop it in the chat.
Do you guys do Bible studies together? Peter and I do Oswald Chambers every morning, and he's set on that, which is fine. And I get my quiet time or a secret place, whatever we want to call it. I get that when he leaves for work. But on the days that he doesn't, then we will do Bible study in the morning, and that's our communing together. But then I go off and do I start my day then, because I'm like, well, I did Bible study already. So I guess when I'm doing it with him, I'm I'm more checking the box probably. I still see things, or he might point something out that's changed in me that I haven't even noticed. But how does that work, and how do you feel about that with the two of you, Aaron?
Well, I would say that one of them is I still think you need your own,
Okay.
and even if that is hopefully like prior to say you doing it together, I'm hearing that you're not that into the study that you're doing. You're kind of doing it because he wants to do it, which is all good. And I'm sure there's stuff in there that you can learn. But if before that time, you can take your 10 or 15 minutes by yourself and be in that space and be asking God, hey, what do you want me to learn today? What do you want me to see here today? How do you want me to speak into my husband today? You'd start that whole Bible study from a different perspective, right?
Yeah, I can see that. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
I also think it's good to mix it up, in that you're not doing the same thing over and over and over and over all the time. Like go through a book and do the devotionals, but then move to something else and ask God, what is something that we can learn about the different parts of our relationship? Maybe it's the roles of a husband and a wife. Maybe it's about communication and how men and women communicate differently. It could also be about how we can notice the gifts of each other and encourage each other to work in our gifts and use our talents well. It could also be about conflict, right? Like learning how to have healthy conflict is a key component to a good marriage and a good relationship, a good friendship. Conflict is a normal part of life, whether it's between you and I, or it's between Aaron and I, or like it's a normal part of life. Certainly should be a normal part of the Christian life. And so learning how to do that well and having tools to utilize, amazing, really, really amazing. Yeah. The other thing you can learn together is, some like exegesis study from the Bible, where you're learning not just about what someone else thinks about the Bible, but what God is actually saying and the context and who wrote it and why. There's a number of studies like that and devotionals that you can go through that are a bit more like scholarly, but really, really good, and would definitely give you context.
We're actually going through we're in a 3-year class at church, which is doing that.
Great.
So we just got into the second book. Would you have resources, you and Aaron, that it would be good? I think I do have one book on marriage, I believe, that Peter and I did not complete. And then I think there was another one too that I see on my shelf that you might have recommended, Christine.
Okay.
So, I mean, Peter and I can start there, but any resources, and we both have the books. So any other resources would be really greatly appreciated, because Peter and I did not obviously have marriages that were faith-based before. And yeah, otherwise they wouldn't have ended. So there you go.
Well, faith-based
But,
marriages end too.
well,
That happens.
yeah, maybe I shouldn't have spoke like that, but you knew what I meant. So, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah, Aaron, any recommendations?
Well, we've had small groups in our church where they lead a program called Marriage on the Rock,
Okay.
and it's by Pastor Jimmy Evans. And he does all the preaching. I don't think he brought his wife out, but it's all about marriage and talks to both men and women. There's a workbook that goes with it where you have to, broach some pretty serious topics. And what I found interesting about it was we were looking at some of these topics from a place of, how do you and I want to manage this? Hopefully before it's a problem, or maybe after, or maybe it's something we've kind of been dealing with, but it's not a hot topic today, which is a perfect time to talk about it because you're not heated, right? You can have the conversation. Um, Also, our church offers a marriage mentorship program.
Okay.
It's an approximate 10-week program. We could probably find you the link for that as well. But there's a group of people, a group of couples that, are marriage mentors. And you come into those, you'll actually go to their house, what is it, once a week for about 10 weeks. So, then, sorry, Brittany, I just saw your message. I'll work on that one. So what was I saying? Yeah, the marriage mentorship. So yeah, it's like 10 weeks of couple on couple training and working on some of that conflict resolution. They call it rounding the bases. How do you get around the bases, as a couple, as a married couple, with whatever problem you may have? It's for good conflict resolution, compromises, etc.
Can I add
So
to that?
yeah.
So my husband and I go see Aaron and Christine for marriage mentoring through our church. And we are coming up on week 10. Well, maybe a couple extra weeks in there, but we're coming up to our last lesson. And I would highly recommend it to anybody in any step of their marriage, whether it's beginning, middle, or end. It has definitely helped my husband and I get to learn God together. And with the help of Aaron and Christine, it's really brought us more close together. When he talks about rounding the bases, it's a great thing. I mean, it's literally what it sounds like. It's the bases, first, second, third, and it's, conflict, talk about it, resolution, go home. And we do use that very often. We used to have a little bit more conflict when we started, and now we have way more open communication, and we definitely have God more involved in together in our marriage. And that's a large part due to the marriage mentoring. So I definitely highly suggest looking into it if that's something. And it's not intense. It's not, he said this, she said this. It's not finger pointing. It's literally coming together to make your marriage better with conflict and getting resolution. And like I said, me and my husband, like the first 2 weeks with Aaron and Christine, like we didn't even start classes because we had a lot to hash out. And then after that, it just all ran really smoothly, but they really incorporate God into it. So I highly recommend just looking into it. It's amazing. It's definitely helped our marriage grow exponentially and continue to use everything that they teach us outside of meeting with them.
Now it doesn't matter that we attend a different church though, right?
No, it does not. Nope. Marriage mentoring is, if you go on the Short Point website, you can definitely enter marriage mentoring. They have like Aaron said, they have, I think, 3 or 4 couples that teach it. I know Aaron and Christine for one. I know another couple that do it. But you don't have to go to Short Point to do it. It's off base, like you said. Like we meet with Aaron and Christine every Wednesday, at their house. And it's like in a couple hours, depending on how long it takes. We watch videos, we talk about it, and then we round the bases. So yeah, you definitely, it's such a great thing because when you get to talk to people one on one, we thought about the marriage on the rocks and doing the group thing, but for us, we needed that one-on-one interaction. And my husband knew Aaron a little bit prior to this, and I didn't know them. So I felt really comfortable going into it because it's not judgmental. It's not, they're not there to judge you. They're there really to be godly warriors and help you through your marriage. And they have no problem saying yes and no to you and saying, hey, you're not being honest, be honest, So, and it's really great.
Thank you, Brittany, for that. The one thing I have noticed is that Peter will get standoffish with other males. He doesn't have a lot. He's got friends, but they don't really, it's not like we are. I mean, in the sisterhood, it's not like this at all. And so, and he connects with you, Aaron. So maybe this is something we need to pray on. Because Peter's had a lot of health issues too, which I think all of you guys know that he's had a lot of health issues and we still are not done. So that's taken a play too, but I've taken the CNA role now, which it was brought to my attention over the weekend by a friend of ours. I've taken the CNA role and looked at my house as a geriatric house, which is not fair to Peter, realistically. So, yeah, that's my issue. I'll work through it, but yeah. But thank you, Brittany. I appreciate that input.
I dropped in the chat, if you're interested, the workbook for Marriage on the Rock and then the videos on YouTube. So there's like 10 or 11 videos. You can do it in a group or you can do it with each other. If you end up doing this with your spouse and you want to talk through some things or want like a mediator to kind of help you process through it, Aaron and I are happy to help you do that. We took the class and it was so powerful, so helpful. Yeah, so good. Anybody else?
I have a question for Aaron.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we in the scriptures, we've got this beautiful imagery of Christ and his bride, which is so easy for us women to relate to, and the language that is the beautiful Christ is our husband. What is that like for you as a man to be considering in the secret place and your relationship with the Father through Christ, being the bride, a member of the church? Maybe that's a communication or a language question. I'm just wanting a little bit of a peek into your brain about what that relationship looks like and what blesses you language-wise and helps you to be able to connect the way that we women connect with imagery.
I think there's a lot in that question. We just went, this is a little bit, I don't know, came to mind. God put it on my mind when you said it, even though it might not sound like it's relevant. But with my guys group, we were talking a lot about wounds of the father and how, like, growing up, your father may or may not have been there or may have actually hurt you, which then makes it really hard to look at God as like a loving father, right? Your earthly father was what he was. Chances were pretty good that he's not really godlike or Christ-like. And therefore, it's really hard to picture a father's love as we're supposed to picture God's love. The bride in the church and that kind of, it can resonate, but you certainly have to think it through. You have to process it, right? The world now has made wives like this nagging pest or something that you have to do, right? You're supposed to do. You're supposed to get married. That's what you're supposed to do. You're doing a lot of these things out of obligation, which isn't like how Christ was with the church, right? And it's not to say that you don't love somebody, but it's just, I think we have a very skewed world society view of what marriage should look like. which just is more of a testament for being in the Word, finding those devotionals, things like Marriage on the Rock that remind you of, hey, this person is your wife. She's supposed to be, basically the most important person here on earth in your life. And you've made a choice to, go through life with her. So how are you protecting that? How are you growing it? How are you supporting her? How are, something as simple as I heard a guy on a podcast one time talking about which of you as men walk out of a store and open her car door and wait for her to get in before just going to your side. He's like, because you never know. Somebody could get mugged, attacked, robbed, shot, whatever in a split second. And he goes, I watch all these guys go directly to their side and jump in the car and wait for her to get in. And he's like, what kind of protection is that? And I was like, ooh, that's for real. How many stories you hear about a mall parking lot or something, right? Where something happens.
I never thought of it like that, Aaron. Peter has opened my door from day one. He never, even after his heart surgery, when I have had to be the chauffeur for a while, he would take the extra steps, walk around the side of the truck, and open my door before I got in to drive. And I'm sure people are looking at us like, what is going on? And the first time he did it, he caught me off guard. I was like, what are you doing? I'm opening your door for you. Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's so good. It's so
It is good. And there's a lot more to it than maybe just be nice, right?
Yeah, the protection piece is what I never thought about. And he's already, and this is something else we're going to have to pray and venture in on probably. I don't understand the military life. My dad was in, and I was a baby. So I don't know anything about it. So some of Peter's mannerisms, I look at him, I'm like, what are you doing? Because I've been civilian all my life. I don't know anything else, where he's been military all of his. So there's that joining in with a supportive military group, maybe start one at church, because we have a great, a big community of veterans, and there's no support there. But then it would help me to understand, and Peter would not feel like he's stuck in a world where he doesn't know what to do, because there is quite a difference, and they don't always get transitioned. So
thanks, Peggy. Wendy Sue, did that answer your question?
There were some really cool thoughts there. Thank you. I guess I was also wondering about the whole what speaks to you, and maybe your men's group, language wise. You said there was a lot to unpack with the bride and his church concept. Do you find then that you use specific books, or when you're reading scripture even, and unpacking that relationship with the Father in the secret place? My husband and I work with mixed groups, and I teach to mixed groups, and I just want to use language that men relate to as well as women. So I guess that's what I'm getting at, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, kind of. Something I'm just reading it right now. We're working on Wild at Heart by John Eldridge. And one of the things that he talks about a lot is that men need a battle to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And he he likes to reference when you were a child, right? So when you're a child, you are a superhero, a firefighter, a policeman, whatever. You're all these hero type characters until the world starts beating you down and telling you that you can't do all these things. You can't fly. You can't be Iron Man. You can't be Superman. You can't do all these things, right? So then we start to lose our heart. And part of finding our heart is having this battle to fight, something bigger than you, something finding a different purpose, that kind of thing. But the battle resonates, and it's interesting because I think in today's day and age, there's so many men that wouldn't consider themselves a warrior, really. Now it's more popular to be a nerd or a geek or a whatever, right? But that warrior component is still in there somewhere.
I also just want to say, I think we've seen the pendulum swing on that, and now we label that toxic masculinity, right? So women want this, they crave it, but then we've got this like whole marketing and propaganda thing that we're fighting against, that if men take charge and they're making decisions and they're doing all these things, that's toxic masculinity. So they're fighting against that as well. I dropped in the chat some links to the book Aaron mentioned, which is Wild at Heart. And then also another book that was fantastic was called 5 Marks of a Man. That was really good as well.
Yeah, that's our next book.
Yeah, so good.
That's next small group.
So good. I want to just quickly share with you ladies, as we kind of get to the end here and just get wrapped up, just real quickly, and you're welcome to ask Aaron another question if you have one. But as we just kind of wrap up this concept of the secret place, and that God is inviting us, we get to trade in what the world is giving us, and kind of trade all of that for God's reassurance, for him being in control, for giving us a new filter. We get to trade what the world offers for joy and peace, for overflowing abundance, and to get lavished in love. The key we discover is obedience. And so this chart, I'm always thinking in word pictures. And so this chart makes a lot of sense to me, in that when we say yes to God, we can live in expectation to see him. So this sounds easy and it's really simple, but there's also like a brain hack in here. So what we focus on and believe, we find in the world. That's part of how our brain is designed. So when we say yes to God, we can live in expectation to see him. When we expect to see God, we see him more, and then we're noticing the details of where he is. This helps us to then experience God in our world, and then we trust him more. When we trust God, we can live surrendered then in every area of our life, or we can continue to add areas of our life or our heart where we are surrendered to him. When we surrender to God, we are quicker to be obedient. We are quicker to be obedient. And when we walk in obedience, we are maturing. And as we walk confidently with God in this maturing posture, that is where we find holy alignment. This is where we're going to find holy alignment. So this is a great way to notice why being in that secret place with God is so important. When we say yes to God and we meet him there, this is the beautiful becoming. This is the beautiful transition that takes place. Is there anything else that you have noticed, that you have received, or has been a beautiful outcome of being in the secret place with God that we haven't talked about today? Is there anything else that you have noticed?
This morning I was sitting after Peter had left, and I'm doing the breaking free from Beth Moore, that devotion, and she's going through generational strongholds and the importance of recognizing them. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, there's so much to unpack with it, that it's just my quiet time with God in that. Um, it's, what do I want to say? It's restoring what in, yeah, I don't know what I want to say, but anyway, it's speaking to me. And I'm not blaming my parents. I'm still responsible, even though there's been stuff that's been passed down to me. So, my relationship with God is my responsibility and nobody else's. It's not my parents. It's not my, grandparents, anything like that. No, it's still my responsibility. So I either choose him or I don't, and I have the free will in that, which obviously I choose him.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so much personal healing and personal growth that I've gotten in the amount of time of, I've spent 2-3 hours in the morning after Peter's gone to work, or I've spent 15-20 minutes in the quiet time with God. It just varies on how much he wants to tell me, or what I need for that day, that he already knows. And this is what, he lays it out. I don't.
Yeah. Thanks, Peggy. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, ladies, if you haven't yet, I want you to take some time to make sure to establish your 3 goals for the week. What are you playing for this week? Establish your action items and your tasks that go under each of those goals, and make sure you're time blocking on the calendar for this week. I also want you to notice, where am I going to plug into support? And of course, our bonus question always is, if I had the answer to this question, life would feel more in flow. If I had the answer to this question, life would feel more in flow. Once you get your 3 goals set for the week with your action items, I want you to, you can either shoot them to me in a text or a DM, or, which I'd prefer, if you put them in the Sisterhood portal. So I'm going to be tagging in there over this week. I'm going to be going in there today. And I'd like to see what everybody's goals are for the week. And if you are struggling or need coaching on anything, I want to be able to do that in there. Thanks so much for joining us today. Oh, Wendy Sue, she said, we don't talk worship. I don't know what that means.
We didn't. Ah.
Oh, we didn't talk worship.
Yeah.
I'm confused. I'm sorry. Did I miss something?
Oh, I was just going to say, if we didn't really cover like worship in the secret place, just if there was any time for that or any fun thoughts on that, because that is a huge piece of my secret place time, and it really shifts my focus. And I was curious about what Erin does for worship stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe share that sometime in the future.
Yeah, you could share it now if you want.
Oh, I was wondering if he wanted to share.
Yeah.
A guy's perspective. Yeah.
You're muted, dude.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of, I don't know. I don't do that a whole lot, just kind of on my own. Sometimes Christine will play some music and I'll kind of get into that worship moment. Most of the time, my quiet time is literally what I said, like on the couch, or like this morning, I actually set myself a timer and I said, all right, the next 10 minutes, I'm not touching anything. I'm not doing anything. I like to close my eyes and just be in the moment, which is actually nice because in here, I think it was in the reading that you had this morning, Christine, there was some mention of the different ways God will show up in that. And, sometimes, a lot of times we ask for guidance, right? Show me the path, show me the way to go, show me what you want to do here. And sometimes God will give that to you. But other times he'll also give you like warnings, or hey, that's not the way to go, or hey, that's not from you. And then other times he'll just give you comfort, which isn't really a yes or no or a go or say, but it's just hey, I'm listening to you. I'm here for you, and I'll hold you and love you or whatever you need, stroke your hair. I don't know, whatever you got to do. Scratch your back. But yeah, just, whatever. So I don't know about necessarily worship. I do that more in the church setting or sometimes as a church group at our rehearsal. If I'm playing guitar that weekend, we have a rehearsal on Thursday. We'll take time as a group and just kind of worship for a while and just be in that space and let God bring whatever he has for you in those moments, right? And Wendy, I had something else for you and I can't remember what it was. Oh, I know. You were talking about things that resonate from a guy standpoint, and I won't speak for all guys on this, but I'll say for me, one thing that always seems to pique my interest is the enemy. And through all my life, we never really spoke of it, right? It was Satan wasn't really on the, Trinity or the Lutheran, my Missouri Synod Lutheran guest list, they just didn't talk about it. And now that things are more faith-based and that comes up in conversation, the enemy attacking what I do and how I do it and how I think and being able to infiltrate my actions and my thoughts is huge, like knowing that it's not just me being foolish or whatever. It's like the enemy trying to mess with me, right? Kind of brings up that battle thing I mentioned earlier without really mentioning the battle. You just all of a sudden know that somebody's against you at all times. And you have to fortify against that. And especially be aware, right? Be aware that that's happening, because we can go and like I could attack Christine for something that she never even did, but I had this idea that she did, and then we're at odds over something that the enemy was just, whispering in my ear about. But that's something that always resonates for me. I can ask the rest of the guys in my group tonight if that.
Thank you. That's good. That's good, because that's the enemy's ploy, is to pit us against each other, to pit humans against each other and think we're each other's enemies, when it's really we got a huge enemy against all mankind, right? So
Yeah,
thanks for sharing all your thoughts. Appreciate it.
absolutely. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. What a great day. So good. I know we didn't get to our normal MIO Monday, so I want to encourage you all to do that. And like I said, I want you to drop your goals into the Sisterhood portal so I can just check in with each of you. So I'm excited for that, and I'll be able to support you while I am working this week, because the second half of the week is going to be birthday celebrations. Yay! So, okay. Love you, ladies. Have a great
Thank you.
Monday. Yes, we'll talk
Thanks,
to you
Erin.
later.
Thanks, Christine.
Yeah,
Bye,
you're welcome.
everybody.